and welcome back to the Oopa Loopa Cafe here on the 16th of January 2013. Here in our second segment, we're actually doing a little bit of a retro thing at the beginning of it. If you were around in 1986 and you had HBO or any news of any kind, you probably heard of Captain Midnight. And Captain Midnight is still around, an electrical engineer in Ocala, Florida. And he kind of interrupted service for HBO for just a few minutes, but it was enough to get the attention of practically everyone in that business, that is the satellite television business. There's a tie-in, stay with us.
A weekend incident in which someone suddenly interrupted a home box office movie on cable. It may have been a sophisticated prank, but as ABC's Bill Blakemore reports, nobody is laughing.
32 minutes past midnight Sunday morning, HBO viewers east of the Mississippi suddenly had their movie, The Falcon and the Snowman, interrupted with this silent message printed over color bars. Good evening, HBO, from Captain Midnight. $12.95 a month? No way. Showtime movie channel, beware. An objection to the price HBO is charging dish owners for access to its recently scrambled programs. The signal got weaker, then, after 4 minutes, the movie resumed. Spokesmen at the HBO Broadcast Center in Long Island are not saying how they got control of their signal back from the intruder, who may never be caught. Someone with access to a large satellite transmission dish, probably in or near the contiguous United States, but untraceable in so large an area, had simply aimed at the appropriate satellite and, using HBO's published frequency, transmitted with more power than HBO, which overrode and replaced the HBO signal. HBO executives decided not to comment in front of news cameras because they don't want to project this as only an HBO problem. They say this is a relatively minor case of a new type of electronic jamming which could threaten several sectors of our society.
This is a problem involving vulnerability on the part of anyone who uses satellites for any kind of communication.
That includes banks with their financial transactions, telephone users, and the commercial TV networks with entertainment and news shows. The Federal Communications Commission is worried.
We take it very seriously. We would prosecute with whatever resources we have.
In a recent HBO movie, intruders broke in on a U.S. president to make a zany sales pitch. That movie was a comedy, but in the wrong hands, this new form of jamming would be no laughing matter. Bill Blakemore, ABC News, New York.
When we come back, white-collar boxing, upper-class uppercuts.
Wow. Anyway, after HBO went into the encryption key business with their satellite download, a number of other folks got into the act, I guess you'd say, with satellite television service. And one of them was the first EchoStar satellite owned by these folks. And they just launched another one recently. But they also launched a suit against the FCC because the FCC had put together a rule back in 2003, actually, that required that folks be able to get a satellite-ready television. Well, it turns out that the rule was drafted by the cable companies. Dish did not think this was quite kosher. And very recently, in fact yesterday, last night it came out in the news, the Federal Appeals Court in the District of Columbia agrees with Dish rather than with the FCC. So now they're relieved of that duty of making everything ready for the television. However, the FCC is reviewing the court's decision to see what they can do. Maybe how they can satisfy their cable buddies. But there may be another battle brewing for Dish. You see, Dish is headquartered in Colorado. And because of a rule, a policy that Dish has, no one who is in an accident with a Dish vehicle can drive that vehicle until they have passed a drug screen. Wait a minute, they're in Colorado, and Colorado just passed a marijuana law. Marijuana, recreational use for adults etc., etc. Now, there's a provision in the Colorado law that you cannot operate a vehicle while under the influence, and yet the tests do not judge whether you're actually under the influence. All it really tests is whether you have imbibed in the last 30, 60, 90 days, depending on the test and actually who runs it, because the test results can be all over the place. So there are a number of things coming up within not only Colorado, but also Dish Network to see what the legalities will actually be down the road. Boy, there's a pun in there somewhere. But the upshot is we don't know how this is all going to unravel with regard to policies, corporate policies, as well as insurance carriers. Don't know what's going to happen there. It's brand new territory. Nobody has ever blazed this trail before. I have a feeling, just a hunch, no inside knowledge at all, but I have a hunch that Dish will somehow end up in the driver's seat, double pun, regarding marijuana usage versus marijuana driving. So check it out, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, this is Chad Everson, and I'd like to welcome you to Temerity Magazine. Hi, I'm Chad Everson, and this is Temerity Magazine. Temerity Magazine is going to be sharing with you relic and treasure hunters from across the globe. Europe, Scotland, Australia, South Africa, all across the United States. We're getting grizzly right in our own grizzly backyards, hunting relic and treasure. Each and every day here on Oopa Loopa Cafe. Yeah, you grizzly out there. Check this out. Now, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I don't know my horse gear enough, but I do know that this is off either a harness or a saddle. I'm thinking a harness, but it might also be off a real fancy saddle, but I think it's a harness. But for all you horsemen out there, help me out on this one. Another great find, and boy, this little dump has been worth going through all those roots. It's a cool ass find. I'll take that. Now I'll do the research and figure out what exactly it is. If you can do the research for me and want to share it in the comments, hey, I much appreciate it. Saves me a ton of time. But very cool. Found another license plate. A couple of bottles. Check this out. Is this the one? Yeah. It says Marinello. Marianello? Let me see if I can get you to focus. There we go. I think it's an M. Old milk glass. Little chip off the base. Otherwise it's good. But finding some other milk glass stuff. And this is kind of an interesting area to be digging into. But I think the goodies are running out, but we'll keep digging here. And it is getting dark. Daisy's over here hunting a chipmunk. She's not giving up. And the brook is still running, so we're doing good. Anyway, get a little grizzly. Get a little grizzly.
Well, we're coming up on our second break for the day, but unless we are preempted by a presidential address regarding guns, assault weapon ban, high capacity magazine ban, the reports out of Newsmax are that the President of the United States is about to propose 19 separate actions, a package, if you will, to curb gun violence by taking guns out of the hands of nonviolent citizens. Okay, well, unless we are preempted, in this upcoming third segment, we will be visiting with Dennis Crenshaw. And this particular, I guess, address by Dennis took place in October of 2010. In fact, it was Halloween weekend. And as I mentioned earlier, that was the first time I'd ever met Dennis in person, even though I've been working with him off and on for about 20 years. Part of that time, Dennis actually disappeared from the face of the earth, essentially. And that was at the time that he was writing the book, The Secrets of Delsha. Check that one out, too. It's fascinating. Secret codes, secret societies, and airships. But anyway, Dennis is in this clip talking about the Hollow Earth theory and how that ties into the supposed lost secret diary of Rear Admiral Richard E. Byrd. At any rate, this is the Oompa Loompa Cafe for the 16th of January, 2013, and we will be back, I hope, right after these messages.